This is the final word daily from the Commonwealth Games, Day 3. Jeff Lemon and Natalie Germanos with you. I believe, well, the show is brought to you by Advanced Hair. I know that for sure, the world leaders in hair restoration. I also know that it's my job to do the 30-second summary today. Yep. Okay, we've got 2 games. Just to set the scene before we start the clock, we've got Australia playing Barbados, and we had India-Pakistan in the morning. Here we go. India flattened Pakistan. They stomped them. 18 overs, reduced by rain, bowled out Pakistan for 99, and then Smriti Mandhana basically chased it down on her own, made 64 in quick time, and then Australia went one better. They bowled out Barbados for 64 and chased it in 8.1 overs. I don't even need the 30 seconds. I could have done that in about 15 seconds. You could suggest that maybe out of the 4 teams today, 2 of them played cricket, not in the sort of Douglas Jardine style, but just in the remembering how to go through the basics, the mechanics of the game. A slightly painful day in a couple of ways for those watching on.
Yeah, and sad as well, because India-Pakistan is always a big game, and it doesn't really matter whether it's in the women's game or the men's game. It doesn't matter the format. We had a lovely crowd in as well. It was a crowd that gave support to both, and the rain was threatening, so it was adding to all of the drama. And Pakistan just didn't show up. They don't have a good record against India, and India have got a dominant record against them, but they have beaten them twice in this format before.
Yep.
And they often lift their game against India in this format. And it just never happened and never got going.
Well, it's 10 India wins out of 12 now in T20s and 11 out of 11 in 50-over stuff, so the Indian women have dominated. But like you say, we had the biggest crowd that we've had so far. The Holly stand was probably 2/3, 3/4 full, which was terrific. The atmosphere was a lot different to the test matches here, where it's often pretty boorish and unpleasant, whereas it was family friendly. There were people dancing around with the bull mascot and having a good old time, and it actually did start okay, because look, reduced to 18 overs, and Manibur Ali at the top of the order came out and went for it. Hit a big 6, her first 6 in T20 internationals ever, over mid-wicket. She made, 32, and got going with a few boundaries, but once she got out, things started to fall away pretty quickly.
Yeah, and again, I don't understand the batting order. Obviously, losing Nida Dar is a massive loss for Pakistan. I still think they bat her too low anyway. She was brilliant in the previous game for Pakistan, but sadly out with concussion, which is a real worry, because it was a blow that she took to the head in the previous game, and she probably should have come off in that innings, because she's clearly suffering from concussion. She wanted to carry on. I think it was... It's hard. I understand she wants to be out there, but it's your safety. I think she should have come off anyway. But she made the decision to play on in the previous game. Couldn't play in this game today, which is the biggest game really probably of the tournament. You want to be playing against India, don't you? So tough for her and tough for Pakistan. I still think this batting order is not quite right for Pakistan. Iram Javed, she's been doing well in the middle order, and I don't understand why they're trying to make her into an opener. She's done nicely in the middle order, so I'm a little bit surprised. I'd rather Bismar Maharoof at least came in at number 3 today, but then why not just maybe try somebody else opening, possibly, I don't know, maybe one of the youngsters possibly, but it's batting order. It's a frustration for me. It's tough to get right in T20s. You don't have a lot of time, but you have to get it right in these big games.
Well, it was those two. It was Bismar Maharoof with Manibur Ali who put a partnership together. I mean, they lost a wicket before they'd scored in the second over of the power play, which was reduced to 5, and then those two put on 50, and they're going along at a pretty good clip. And it's Sneh Rana who comes in, and she's got the magic touch for India. I mean, whatever the format, we saw the way that she played in the Test match in England last year. We've seen her do some special things in short-form cricket as well. And they sort of, they leave her out some of the time. She's a bit fringy. She's a bit sort of Ravindra Jadeja style, like she should be in the team every time they play, I think. And she was the one to do it again today. She comes on, she gets both the set batters in 1 over, and she does it cleverly. She's recognising that there's a bit of purchase in the pitch. She bowls slowly, she loops it up, she beats the bat and pins Bismar Maharoof LBW, and then she gets the return catch from Manibur Ali, who's just threw the shot too early. It was clever spin bowling, and it was you could see the craft in what she was doing.
Yeah, it's exactly what Lisa Sthalekar actually was talking about. Of course, Lisa Sthalekar, a fantastic spinner in her own right and a legend of the game. She was telling us about how bowl it slower, get more turn, and that's what Sneh Rana was doing in the end. Obviously, the spinners are all different. Like a Sophie Eccleston is not going to be one to bowl it slower. She's known for bowling it actually quite quickly, and she's difficult to deal with because of that. But Sneh Rana, being a different type of bowler, came in, slowed it down, got some purchase, and she was superb. And as you mentioned, good for India in other formats, but also even in the Women's T20 Challenge we saw recently as well. She is a really good T20 bowler for me. I think they should find a place for her always.
And she can bat as well, and she's lively in the field.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, this Indian team, almost everybody's sharp in the field now. Shefali Verma she's probably the main liability in terms of mobility, but they tend to pop her at mid-on or mid-off and have her stay put. So they've got this dynamic team in the field. And I suppose if Pakistan's 99 all-out was underwhelming, it was redeemed by the run chase, because Shefali Verma comes out and plonks a couple of 4s and a 6, and she gets out relatively early, but she's boosted the scoring rate. And then Smriti Mandhana just played one of those sublime innings of the kind that she does, 64 or 40 odd balls. She was hitting 6s, she was going straight down the ground, she was playing the pull shot, she was going up and over cover, and there's just this sort of languid elegance to the way that she plays. She's the most stylish player, I think, in women's cricket at the moment. Maybe Laura Woolvart gives her a run for her money.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it would take a brave person not to enjoy a Smriti Mandhana innings. She is absolutely phenomenal. I love how she uses the crease. She's happy to go onto the back foot, plays it well off the back foot. Yep. She's really good coming forward as well. And there's not a lot of women within the game that actually do that so easily and make it look like she almost knows where the bowler's going to bowl. And she's not premeditating as such, but she just reads it so well. And there's not a lot of women who do that so easily. I loved also the touch today. A little open of the face, down to third, made it look so easy. Great elegance from her. So you had the power down the ground and then that elegance as well through third. I enjoy watching Smriti any day. Pretty much fangirling today, really.
Yeah, and also that India recognised that spin was the way to go. So Shefali Verma gets thrown the ball. She's taken one T20 international wicket before. She got a second today, got a sharp return catch. There were a couple of run-outs while she was bowling as well. And she was really bowling slow too. She was just donkey dropping it up there. And Pakistan didn't know how to approach that, how to wait for it, how to take on that sort of bowling.
Yeah, they've been using her in the series leading into the Com Games, which in a way I looked at the scorecard and I thought, oh, really? She's bowling as well? She can do just about anything. Because with the bat, I think she's one of the most exciting players there is at the moment. And I honestly think she's going to change the game the way she approaches it with the bat, especially for India. But to see now just maybe another little skill, it's something a bit different. And what it does to your captain is say, all right, if we're in a situation where I feel like I want to maybe do something a bit different in the middle stages, I can just throw her the ball. She may bowl 1 over. She may bowl 2 overs. I don't think she's going to very often bowl her full 4 overs. It's not something that you probably see a lot, but it's just another option. Why not?
Why not? And in a game where, there's very little to lose at that point, why not give her the opportunity as well? And the Barbados game, a little bit similar at the start in that Hayley Matthews gets off to a flyer. She's particularly going after Darcy Brown, likes the pace. She goes bang through the covers 3 times, pulls her as well. So 4 boundaries. She's 18 off not many balls. And then premeditates this. She advances at Darcy Brown. You don't really need to charge at Darcy Brown because she will bowl short a lot of the time and she bowls fast enough that you don't need to unless you're trying to put her off. But she advances and then goes through with a pull shot to a short ball anyway, skies it up in the air, gets caught, and after that, the arse just falls out of the innings drastically.
Oh, I was disappointed with Hayley Matthews because she was striking it beautifully, and I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to see a Hayley Matthews specials. This is just what we want. And she's another player who is very exciting to watch. In the last couple of years, she's been brilliant with both bat and ball. But I just think that there's got to be a little rethink as well from Barbados, and in particular against a team like Australia. It was probably never in a month of Sundays where they're going to match up to Australia. We have to be realistic.
Sure. But they looked like a proper cricket team against Pakistan.
Give your best chance. And I think the best chance for me is splitting up Deandra Dottin and Hayley Matthews. Because it's a situation where you've got your 2 best batters opening. If one goes, then what do? Then you're kind of stuck. And you've got international experience coming in and the Knight sisters, but they're not going to get on with it. So for me, and it's something that Stacey Ann King actually brought up very early on before it actually started in the tournaments. And she was saying, you've got to split them up. You've got to give it sort of a little bit of cover for the rest of the innings as well.
Yeah, and then, Alana King comes in, she gets Deandra Dottin, LBW, and from that point they're always going to be struggling, but it was just kind of easy wickets, just little, popping it up in the air the way that Kaisia Knight popped one out to the deep, and it's caught out there off Talia McGrath. Little catches lobbing up off leading edges to the infield, and once everything started falling away, it went quickly.
Yeah, but clever bowling from Australia. They knew on this type of wicket that has been used now in 6 games, they needed to bowl straight because it's going to slow down, obviously. There has been some nice bounce in it, in this hybrid pitch, which is a fascinating thing in itself for me. But they were clever. Bowl it straight, keep it full, and keep it simple. And that's all they had to do. The number of LBWs and bowls that they got was all from their tactics and certainly their discipline as well, because you need to be disciplined enough to do that and do it regularly. And of course, they're a very well-oiled machine, despite 1 or 2 mistakes today. But for me, simple tactics, even from a team that they knew they were going to dominate, they kept it simple.
And that's what Alana King did. LBW, bowled, LBW, LBW. So she's just bowling straight and getting the rewards. She's got 4 wickets at this point. She gets 2 LBs in a row. And this really should be a Hall of Fame entry, but it's so much in the middle of the match that we can't ignore it. She's on a hat-trick. Meg Lanning brings the field in. She has about 5 catches around on the offside. She has a couple in the deep. She pops herself at slip. Alana King bowls a perfect leg break, turning away. Little bit of a poke and a prod there from Keeler Elliott, and off the outside edge, and Meg Lanning puts it down. I mean, you're the captain of the side and you drop the hat trick. She just lay on the ground with her head in the turf for about 10 or 15 seconds, didn't want to look up, didn't want to see anybody. And it was straight to her. She just snatched at it. She was too eager to get hold of it. She had a bit of a panic and went, ah! And it comes away off the heels of the hands and goes down.
And it was such a perfect ball as well, because Elliott's a debutant. She's not in there for her batting. She's coming down the order as well. Her team's in all sorts of trouble. Why not give her a teaser outside the off stump? And she thought she's going to have a little poke at it, and she did. And Alana King was into her celebrations, way into it, because she thought, it's gone to Meg Lanning at slip. Here's my hat trick. She had no doubt in the world. And as you said, it was straight to her, and she put it down. Meg Lanning is such a good player, all round. Brilliance. I love her tactical brain. I think she's, obviously from a batting perspective, we know she's a standout. But in the field, she sets very high standards, and she's one of the reasons why Australia are so good, because she leads the way. So I can only imagine how she must feel at the moment. I'm sure it still hurts, and she would be gutted, because even though they absolutely romped home, it's a special moment for the youngster who only made her debut this year.
Yeah.
And she's already got a World Cup medal around her neck. She's played in the Women's T20 Challenge, played in the Ashes, and now she could have a gold medal around her neck too.
Yep, but you don't get many chances to take a hat-trick. It doesn't matter, even if you're playing against relatively weaker opposition, the confluence of factors that have to come together, it's so unusual that to miss that opportunity it'll be something that hangs around, something that people keep reminding her about as her career goes on.
Only one for Australia, by the way, in this format. For this Aussie team, Megan Shute.
Yes.
There's only one hat-trick. So that tells you how rarely it happens.
Right, yeah. Renee Farrell got one in a test match in 2008 or 9. But, yeah, they don't come around very often. So if we're going to be critical of the Australians, there's one thing for me, which is in the run chase. They need to get 65 to win. They've got 17 runs off the first 5 overs of the power play. Beth Mooney gets out. Stumped, fine. She's coming down the wicket, trying to smack one away, misses the ball, can't spin around in time, she's out. Alicia Healy at one point was 4 off 17. And, she has runs of low scores at the top of the order and all the rest of it. But the whole point, they talk up this big game about the bravado. Healy's job is to go out and attack and not worry about the consequences and all the rest of it. That looked like a player who was saying, I don't want to be the one who gets out chasing 60. I want to make sure that I'm not out at the end of the day. It just didn't sit right. There wasn't. They faced out a maiden. She faced out a maiden over from Hayley Matthews within the first 5, and then in the last over of the power play, Deandra Dotton comes on to bowl, and it ends up going for 25. So 17 off 5 overs, and then 25 off 1 over, with an overstep no ball, a full toss no ball, a wide thrown in there. Lanning hooks a couple of those away for 6. The head-high one she hooks for 6. A short ball she hooks for 6 as well. So, it showed what Australia could have been doing if they laid into the bowling, but they didn't do it right off the start, which I thought when net run rate's important, you want to win this game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the type of wicket to be able to do that from the get-go. I think you need to get the pace of it. And obviously from Barbados' point of view, even with the international experience, they're not express pace. So they generally can bowl they don't actually normally give you a lot. Normally the plan from the West Indies point of view, obviously a different team, but normally their plan is 7-2 field, bowling it wide outside the off stump. They're basically giving you nothing. They're not there to take wickets up front necessarily. They're there to contain. And I think it's a very similar sort of plan from Barbados' point of view. It's really just contain in those first few overs, build some pressure, and then maybe take some wickets. And I think they were kind of trying to do that. And with Elisa Healy, when you've seen her before in tournaments, you know, oh, well, it's okay. If she's not looking good in the group stages, it's all right. You'll get to the final and she'll smash it.
She'll make 100 in the final. She turns it on in finals. We should do the Hall of Fame. The Final Word Hall of Fame is brought to you by Advanced Hair. You go to advancedhairstudio.com/final word if you want to get 15% off their hair replacement assistant. So something that affects women and men, not in equal numbers, but it does both. And they have a range of options, and you can get 15% off because you're friends with us. Almost the whole day was Final Word Hall of Fame worthy, really. I mean, just the whole Barbados game was Final Word Hall of Fame worthy. The dropped hat trick, the 17 off the first 5 overs, the 25 off the 6th over, the Deandra Dotton just losing the radar completely, the head-high full bunger off the top edge for 6. I mean, it was chaotic, it was shambolic, it wasn't necessarily quality cricket, particularly in the second match. There was some quality cricket in the first match, but the second one, aside from Alana King's bowling, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think the Hall of Famer sort of standout for me would definitely be Meg Lanning, the drop in that catch. As you say, I mean, a lot of it wasn't up to the standard that we would want, and certainly not up to the standard that we've seen in the first 2 days either. But the Meg Lanning catch was probably the thing that I thought, that was probably the thing that surprised me the most. Other than that, for me, the weather. Yeah. Because it was rainy and gloomy this morning and spitting all the way up to when we were meant to start. We had a bit of a delay, lost a few overs. And then now all of a sudden it's bright sunshine in Birmingham. So I'm still getting used to the English summer.
I'd give a Hall of Fame nomination to the Commonwealth Games organisers for setting things up so that we had to shave overs off the India-Pakistan game, which then finished, and we had 4 hours until the next game. 4 hours of bright, brilliant sunshine. But no, because of the timing, the schedule, I don't know, the TV network, I'm not sure what the reasons were. No, if they're not on by this time, you've got to start losing overs. I mean, come on, they could have started the entire match after it had already finished and still played a full T20 international and then played the next one.
I will tell you the reason why we have so much time in between. It's because the tickets are separate. So you get tickets for the first game, you get tickets for the second game, you have to usher everybody out the stadium.
You need 4 hours to usher everyone out and bring them back in.
Clean the stadium, and then eventually you've got to have enough time to get people back into the stadium.
Come off it. Just okay, but what they did today was say if you've got a ticket for the first game, you can come to the second game for free. So the whole way through, they could have just been selling day tickets and done it that way.
Well, if we can get into it, if we've got some time, there's a reason.
Yep.
Okay, the reason why they haven't actually just sold just day tickets or just said you've got one ticket for the day, you can go to both matches, is because if you've got a whole bunch, maybe let's say India-Pakistan fans on a day like this, they might come to the first match and then nobody comes to the second match, and then no one has a chance to come to the second match. So basically, that's why they sell them separately.
Yes. I just still think that there's got to be a way. There's got to be a better way, as a TV infomercial person said in Australia during the 1990s. So, and the last one for me was just the Smriti Mandhana 6 down the ground that was so straight, so perfectly dead straight, like literally over the bowler's head, and it just came soaring up towards us in the commentary box. One of those little... have a little catch of breath moment as you see it come off the bat. She batted beautifully today. So I think that's it. That's the Final Word Daily for Commonwealth Games Day 3. Jeff Lemon and Nat Germanos here. You can find what we're doing at patreon.com/thefinalword. And we'll have a day off because there's no cricket on the Monday. But we will be back on what will be day 5 of the games and day 4 of the cricket, if you can keep up with that, on Tuesday when England, New Zealand, South Africa and Sri Lanka will be going around. We'll see you then.